Walter, hadn't even managed my first sip of morning coffee when I heard it. That gut-twisting crunch of steel against brick, the kind of sound that makes you freeze mid-stride. A sharp blare of a car horn followed, making my cat, Jasper, launch himself off the windowsill and vanish under the sofa. I raced to the front window, already bracing for the inevitable scene, and there it was. Brenda, our local nightmare with a clipboard for a heart, had managed to wedge her massive SUV halfway into my flower bed. Her bumper was nose-deep in my prize-winning petunias, as if she were trying to plant the vehicle itself. She was already out of the car, arms crossed, brows furrowed in a bizarre mix of confusion and fury, as if I had somehow crashed her car with psychic powers. "What is this?" Brenda shrieked, stabbing a perfectly polished nail at the fence I'd installed just the day before. "That little wooden thing?" I asked, blinking. "It's called a boundary. You know, property line. You blocked the shortcut," she barked. "I've been using that route for months. Do you know how much time I lose now, going the long way around?" I stared at her. My yard. My fence. My rules. And yet, here she was, acting like I'd personally stolen her favorite parking spot at the grocery store. I tried to stay calm. "Brenda," I said, "this isn't a community road. It's my front yard. You can't keep cutting through here like it's your personal driveway." She waved her hand in dismissal, like she was shooing away a bad smell. "Don't be ridiculous. Everyone uses this route. It's been like this forever. Why are you making a fuss now?" I clenched my jaw. "Because it's mine. And you're tearing up my yard like a raccoon on caffeine." She stepped closer, lowering her voice to a venomous whisper. "You're new here. I've lived on this street since it was built. You don't just change things because you feel like it." This woman had been treating my lawn like a public thoroughfare since the day I moved in. I'd tried everything. Traffic cones. She drove around them. A rope barrier? Gone within a day. Even security footage sent to the neighborhood council. But apparently, Brenda's tenure in the subdivision gave her immunity from consequences. And now, she had the audacity to be furious at me for putting up a simple fence. "I'm calling the association," she snapped, pulling out her phone like it was a sword. "Let's see what they say about this." "Please do," I said, smiling without warmth. "Let's see how they react when they hear you crashed into someone's yard." She scowled, stormed back into her car, tires spinning and tearing deeper into the lawn as she reversed out. I watched her disappear down the road, my fists clenched. This wasn't just about convenience anymore. This was personal. Later that afternoon, the neighborhood committee sent me an email. Not to reprimand Brenda, but me. "Dear resident," it read, "we've received complaints regarding unapproved changes affecting neighborhood traffic flow. The new fence on your property may interfere with common access and must be removed." I stared at the screen in disbelief. That was it. I had tried playing by the rules, but the rules were clearly written by people like Brenda. The next morning, I sat on my patio, staring at the wrecked part of my garden. No more fences, no more warnings. I needed something she couldn't just bypass, something she genuinely wouldn't want to. That's when it hit me, a maze. A full-blown, twisting, no exit until you regret your life choices hedge maze. I called a landscaper and explained the plan. "You serious?" he asked, clearly intrigued. "Dead serious," I replied. "I want frustration. I want psychological warfare. But make it eco-friendly." He laughed. "Petty and green. I'm in." Over the next few days, we designed a green nightmare. Not a simple barrier, but a labyrinth filled with confusing loops and dead ends. From the street, it looked like a beautifully sculpted hedge. Step inside, though, and you were doomed to wander in circles. We used Japanese boxwood hardy, dense, practically indestructible once grown. Perfect for my purpose. Every path was intentional. Wrong ones leading nowhere. Right ones taking so many twists you'd forget why you even started. I even added little signs like, "Almost there," and "Shortcut this way." Only for those paths to lead right back to the beginning. By the end of the week, it was ready. Shorter for now, but growing fast. I hung a sign at the entrance, "Shortcut closed. Welcome to the maze of regret." Saturday morning, Brenda returned. I saw her SUV slow down as she spotted the new hedge. Then, predictably, she did it. She drove right in. From the window, I watched her hesitation, her confusion, and then sweetly her mounting frustration as she met the first dead end. I sipped my coffee. It was better than TV. Horn blasts. Reverse. Forward. Another turn. Another dead end. Finally, she got out, stomping towards the maze on foot, arms flailing, muttering curses. At one point, she looped right back to where she'd started, her face growing redder by the second. She stomped to my porch. "This is harassment." "You walked in on your own, Brenda," I said. "The landscaping is entirely legal." She growled, retreating to her car, but I knew she wasn't done. Sure enough, 2 days later, police lights. "Obstruction of neighborhood access," she'd told the officers. "Is this hedge on your land, sir?" One officer asked me. "Every inch," I confirmed. "Can she legally use your driveway as a thoroughfare?" "Nope." They looked at Brenda. "Ma'am, there's nothing we can do." "It's childish," she snapped. "Ma'am," the cop replied, "being annoying isn't a crime." She stormed off again, defeated but clearly not done. The HOA came next. A clipboard-wielding gentleman named Mr. Henderson showed up at my door, with Brenda in tow, looking smug. "We voted," he declared. "The maze must come down." I simply handed him a file. Inside were zoning laws, city permits, and a carefully worded letter from my lawyer. He read through it, his expression shifting. "This is all legitimate," he mumbled. "Yep," I confirmed. "No violations. And if you try to fine me, or force its removal without legal grounds, I'll sue for harassment." Brenda's face turned a shade of scarlet usually reserved for stop signs. She left in silence, but she wasn't done yet. A day later, I spotted her with a landscaping crew. "Tear it down," she commanded them, pointing at my maze. "Do you own this property, ma'am?" one of the crew asked. "I'm on the board," she huffed. "That's not what we asked." I stepped outside. "She doesn't." "I do." The crew packed up. Brenda, out of options, grabbed a pair of garden clippers from her car and stormed toward the maze herself. I raised my phone, already recording. "Keep going, Brenda. Let's see what the cops say about vandalism and trespassing this time." She dropped the clippers, let out a frustrated scream, and ran home. But the best part? That night, I caught her inside the maze again. 2 a.m. Sneaking in, presumably to destroy it herself. This time, she got thoroughly lost. I found her in the middle, exhausted and absolutely furious. "You tricked me," she screamed. "No, Brenda," I said calmly. "You trespassed." Again. She tried to run, got turned around by my carefully designed dead ends, and ended up stumbling onto my driveway, panting like she'd finished a marathon. I called the cops. She claimed she was just confused and lost. I showed them the security footage of her earlier attempt, hacking at the hedges with clippers, and then the footage of her breaking in tonight. She was arrested. After that, bliss. She lost her board position. Her reputation in the neighborhood crumbled. Kids started playing tag in the maze. Families came to see it. I turned it into a haunted maze for Halloween. It became the pride of the neighborhood. As for Brenda, she stayed quiet. No more drive-bys, no more complaints. Until one night, weeks later, I saw her at the maze entrance. She stood there for a long moment, then stepped inside and got lost again. Some people really never learn. I'd been gone 2 weeks, chasing a livestock auction across state lines, when I rolled back to my farm, jet-lagged, running on gas station coffee, and craving the quiet of my own bed. But as I turned onto the gravel road, the sight hit me like a punch. 74 wind turbines, their long blades slicing the sky, casting flickering shadows across my driveway. My farmland acres of open, untouched earth I'd inherited from my dad and sworn to keep wild was now a forest of gleaming white towers, humming softly, powering a neighborhood I didn't even live in. A truck marked Horizon Energy Solutions nearly clipped my pickup as I pulled over, mouth dry, keys still in hand. I stepped out, staring at the surreal scene. Where my fields once stretched free, now stood these mechanical giants, some still half-built, cranes looming in the distance. I counted them later 74, each several stories tall, blades spinning in the spring breeze like they owned the place. I was still processing when a voice cut through. "Excuse me, sir, can I help you?" A guy in a yellow vest, clutching a clipboard, stood behind me. "This is private property," I said, voice low, though my nerves were screaming. "Yeah, about that," he replied, flipping papers. "The HOA from Crestwood Hills got emergency authorization for renewable infrastructure. Talk to Linda Vance, their president. She'll explain. I didn't answer, just stared at the turbines, then back at him. Crestwood Hills was a mile away, beyond the tree line. I wasn't in their HOA, didn't vote in their meetings, yet they'd turned my land into their power plant. By the time I reached my porch, I'd spotted dozens of workers, heavy machinery, and a trailer parked in my hayfield, a sign proclaiming, Crestwood Renewable Project, powering a greener future. I marched to the trailer, knocked hard. No answer. Inside, I found blueprints and folders labeled Phase 2 Expansion. My name wasn't anywhere. My land was just Grid Zone B, like I didn't exist. I stepped out as a sleek black SUV pulled up, spraying gravel. A tall woman in a gray pantsuit emerged, clutching a binder. You must be Mr. Harper, she said with a tight smile. Linda Vance, Crestwood HOA president. I hoped you'd be back before final inspections. Final inspections? I asked, keeping my tone even. Oh, yes, she chirped, like we were chatting about a bake sale. You've heard about the Crestwood Green Mandate? All HOAs in the district must offset 30% of energy by next year. Your land was perfect for wind capture clear fields, no elevation issues. I assumed you'd be thrilled to contribute. I let that sink in. And when was I supposed to be told? She blinked. We filed permits with the county. You should have gotten notice. I didn't, I said. Her smile twitched. Well, it's approved, and we're nearly operational. You'll get generous compensation once the turbines are online. It's in the contract. What contract? I asked. There's no contract with me. This is my land, and I never gave permission. Her face flickered, but she recovered. Let's not escalate, she said. You'll benefit a greener planet, compensation. Win-win. I didn't yell or threaten. I just smilayed a smile my sister called my troubles coming smile. That night, I didn't sleep. I pulled out my deed, checked zoning maps, then checked again. My land was private, not zoned for industrial use. No HOA jurisdiction, no leases. They had no right. I sat in the dark, bourbon in hand, watching the turbines' red lights blink like taunting heartbeats. I could sue, sure get a lawyer, file an injunction. But that meant years in court while they profited off my land. No, I wasn't going to stop them. I'd let them finish, wire every turbine, flip every switch. Then I'd take it all back quietly, completely. I called my old friend Mike, a retired electrician who now ran an off-grid consulting gig. Mike, I said, how fast can you build a grid reroute system with load balancing and a silent cutover? He paused, then asked, how much power are you trying to steal? I told him. He went quiet, then laughed. You crazy bastard. Where do we start? Over the next few days, I played the cooperative landowner. I even showed up to a Crestwood HOA cookout where they unveiled a plaque, Green Future Pioneer Site, Crestwood HOA. They gave me a basket of organic soaps and a book on sustainable living. Linda posed for photos, her hand on my shoulder like we were pals. I smiled, nodded, and kept my mouth shut. Behind the scenes, Mike and I were running underground fiber from turbine junction points to my barn, hiding custom breakers behind old irrigation panels. Every turbine's output would pass through our split-terrace secret gatekeeper. When the time came, Crestwood's power would flow to me, not them. I didn't tell anyone, not even my brother, who owned nearby land. The HOA had to think I'd caved, that I was their compliant neighbor in their eco-dream. They kept building. I kept watching. They celebrated progress. I celebrated silence. After 6 weeks, Linda called, voice syrupy. Just letting you know, final checks are done. Turbines go online Monday. I looked at the towers lining my ridge. That's great, I said, smiling. Really great. Monday, everything would change. I didn't touch a single turbine, not a bolt, not a cable, even when they tore up my cornfield for concrete pads and fiber trenches. I waved to the foreman each morning, boots clean, hands in pockets, like I was fine with it all. But I was burning inside, dreaming of the moment I'd pull the plug. Mike was my secret weapon. Back in the day, he'd rewire factories blindfolded. He'd saved my hide in a zoning fight years ago when the county tried to fine me over a barn roof. Now he owed me. He showed up 3 days after the HOA's picnic, still in his worn denim jacket, chewing a toothpick. Heard you got wind trouble, he said, smirking. I pointed to the ridge. He whistled. Damn, that's a lot of spin. 74, I said. 14 megawatts at peak. Online by Monday. He scratched his beard. That's a microgrid. You want it all redirected to your system. Every what? I said. Crestwood goes dark. I light up like Vegas. He nodded. Need a gate array, manual override, failover loop. Gotta spoof the SCADA handshake, or their grid'll scream. I handed him a folder with turbine specs from the county's files models, wiring, inverters. He smirked. You did your homework. Anger's a great teacher, I said. We started laying conduit underground, hidden, weaving between turbine cables to avoid alerts. Mike built sniffers, clamps to tap current without breaking the flow. We mounted reroute boxes in my shed, disguised behind fertilizer tanks, wired to a Craigslist laptop running Mike's custom controller. This'll run your empire, he said, patting it. We stacked 6 Bitcoin mining Rigzamp Miner S19 Pros, 110 terahash each in the shed's corner. I hadn't planned to mine crypto, but as I watched those red lights blink at night, I didn't just want revenge, I wanted profit. Their theft would be my fortune. We worked nights, soldering by flashlight, calibrating inverters, dodging HOA trucks. We mapped every turbine's ID and output. Their system was efficient but insecure, built for speed, not protection. We tapped their main node conveniently on my land, near a canal with a bypass relay, invisible to casual eyes. Crestwood would see power flow, not where it went. Linda called in week 3. Minor voltage fluctuations on the primary line. Normal for ramp-up. You haven't noticed anything, right? I said I hadn't, that I loved the turbine's look. She laughed. See? I knew you'd come around. Cooperation's better. I smiled into the phone. Absolutely. Then I doubled my mining rigs, shipping them to a friend's warehouse under a fake name. Mike added fans, hidden vents, and a backup generator in case the utility sniffed around. You're a damn supervillain, he said one night, watching the turbines under moonlight. Just a farmer, I said, lighting a cigar. Growing something new. I acted normal tended fields, waved to engineers. One even had me sign a compliance form saying their output was fine. I signed, offered lemonade. Meanwhile, Mike rigged a kill switch in my kitchen, disguised as a light switch. Flip this if they snoop, he said. Dumps the system, wipes logs, routes power back in 10 seconds. I called it the Linda switch. We tested its simulated turbine input, watched relays snap, rigs roar. Flawless. I told no one, not my brother, not my banker. The second Crestwood suspected, they'd lawyer up. So I played their game, smiled at their eco speeches, let them think I was their green poster boy. When Linda said Monday was go time, Mike and I toasted bourbon in the barn, red lights blinking outside. To stealing wind and mining gold, he said. I clinked my glass. To revenge and renewable cash. It started at 3:07 a.m. Wednesday, when the last worker left Crestwood, clipboard checked, smugly reporting system optimal. Their lights glowed, ACs hummed. Their group chat Mike hacked it weeks ago buzzed with HOA board's self-congratulation. Energy independence, 2 months early. Linda sent an email blast. Crestwood is fully wind-powered, a green model. I read it in my barn, sipping coffee, as our interface flickered on. Mike, cap low, chewed a donut. Ready? I tapped the relay icon. A soft click, and it was Donino explosions, no sirens, just a quiet reroute. Turbines spun, but their power didn't hit Crestwood's transformer. It surged through our conduit, hit our regulator, and fed the mining rigs. Fans roared. The crypto dashboard lit up. Wallet connected. Mining commenced. Hash rate soared. Mike slapped my back. You're printing money. By dawn, we were earning $6,000 a week, more with the second cluster. But the real joy came at 6:12 a.m., when Crestwood's first Keurig died. By 6:45, their chat exploded. Power's out. Fridge stopped. Grid down. Linda typed, don't panic, it's rebalancing. I'll call Tex. Mike cackled. Yeah, Linda, call M. Contractors swarmed Crestwood, testing breakers, checking turbines. Meters showed production, but power vanished before their transformer. I watched Linda pace her driveway, phone glued to her ear, while I made $2,500 in Bitcoin. Mike, sipping beer, grinned. They'll think it's a cable short. Might dig up their own lines. Chaos grew. Crestwood's clubhouse generator fried. Golf carts died. Gates jammed. Linda's email begged. Conserve phone battery, momentary disruption. Mike choked on a pretzel, laughing. That night, we activated Phase 2, an old wine cellar, now a climate-controlled mining chamber. New rigs doubled our hash rate. By morning, my wallet was 5 figures. Crestwood's garden wilted, ACs failed, trash piled up. Their tech utopia collapsed. Linda's decree, limit electric use, report unauthorized activity, sparked a meme of her with a dead solar panel crown. I ordered more rigs, added Tesla Powerwalls buried under my field, mined 24/7, and sold excess power to the grid. Crestwood blamed contractors, parts, even the wind. On day 7, a family sued over a missed dialysis treatment. On day 8, Linda claimed a cyber attack at a press conference. Mike printed HOA hacked shirts. I wore mine, sipping lemonade, watching turbines spin like dollar signs. On day 26, a hard knock came. 2 suits stood at my door, Linda behind them, smirking. "Mr. Harper," the tall one said, shoving an envelope. "You've been served." Inside, a complaint. I'd interfered with utility infrastructure, violated a May 12th renewable agreement. I laughed. They'd forged my signature, backdated it, claimed I'd agreed to turbines. I was in Texas that day. I called my cousin Emily, a Denver energy lawyer with a knack for land disputes. She read the papers and whistled. "They're toast. This is fraud, trespassing, maybe federal violations." I sent her everything: deeds, zoning maps, photos, footage of contractors on my land without permits. "They're personally liable," she said. "No corporate shield for forgery." I countersued. Trespassing, forgery, environmental violations, a cease and desist to vacate my land in 72 hours. Linda was served at the HOA office, her bravado cracking. Emily filed with the State Engineering Board and tipped the local news. Within 48 hours, headlines screamed, "HOA illegally builds wind farm on private land." Linda appeared at my gate on day 30, alone, panicked. "We can fix this," she said. "Don't escalate." I leaned on the fence, chewing a sunflower seed. "You escalated when you forged my name and stole my land." "A misunderstanding," she stammered. "You didn't respond to the notice." "I was out of state," I said. "No notice came." She blinked. "You're making money, right? Take a share of our energy revenue once we reconnect." I laughed. "I've made more in 3 weeks than your board's net worth." Her jaw tightened. "What do you want?" "Crestwood Dark," I said. "I want you to feel what it's like when someone steals your power." I let her leave. Emily worked fast, froze Crestwood's accounts, got stop work orders. The contractor bailed, demanding back pay. The HOA treasurer quit, then the VP. Linda resigned after a final, fractious meeting. Residents sued for mismanagement and fraud. I kept mining, clearing $96,000 by month 2. The turbines were mine, legally, after the court ruled. The courtroom reeked of polish and Linda's nervous perfume. She sat rigid, clutching a blank legal pad, as Judge Harlan, a no-nonsense woman, reviewed 300 gigabytes of evidence: wires, bolts, kilowatts redirected to my rigs. "The plaintiff, Mr. Harper, holds full ownership of the property," she said, "including energy operations." Linda's lawyer closed his binder. Harlan continued. "Crestwood HOA knowingly built infrastructure without consent, including 74 turbines." Murmurs spread. Reporters, a podcast crew, scribbling. "The court finds Mr. Harper's redirection of energy from illegal structures on his land lawful," she added. "No penalty." I grinned. Then the hammer. Crestwood owes $2.8 million in damages, $175,000 per board member, including Linda Vance, forfeiture of turbines, and HOA dissolution pending review. Linda cracked, screeched, and was escorted out, her lawyer frozen. Outside, reporters swarmed. "Mr. Harper, did you plan to mine Bitcoin?" I answered one. "They took what wasn't theirs. I used it better." The story blew up. Farmer outsmarts HOA with Bitcoin wind farm. Linda's courtroom scream hit millions of views. Mike made a mug of it. I expanded new LLC, Harper Windworks, selling excess power to a data center. My wallet grew, rigs hummed, self-sufficient. Crestwood begged the city grid back, paying huge fees. Home values tanked. Half the residents left. The new HOA swore off Linda Energy. Linda filed bankruptcy, moved to a suburb, stuck in a rental, begging to change her doormat. At dusk, I walk my ridge, turbines spinning like trophies. Mike joins sometimes, still amazed. You could have sued day one, he says. Yeah, I say. But then I wouldn't have turned their dream into my empire. It wasn't just revenge, it was permanent, quiet, and sweeter than any crop I'd ever grown.